And today we're doing some mixing. We're going to do some mixing without plugins today, and I'm going to show you how. We're working in Ardour. It's Linux open source software, which is pretty good in my books anyways. The only thing I've done to these tracks is I've added a little fade out at the end for the drums and a few of the tracks because I had forgot to put them in the previous session. Fade out at the end. We've got all these tracks. We've got guitars, vocals, drums, organ, and bass. Also some extra background harmonies. So the song is nearly completed. Yeah, we'll just dive in. What are the steps? What do you do when you have your tracks to this point? You're starting a fresh mix and you don't want to it up, right? So here's what we're gonna do. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna group our tracks. The guitars, put them all together. All the vocals, put those all together. I'm just right clicking here, selecting group, new group, vocals, VX, sure, whatever abbreviation you want. You can name these anything, it doesn't matter. So what the group does is it makes it so that you can adjust everything all together, right? So if I wanted to turn down all the drums, it would just turn down all the drums at once. And there's several ways to do this too. Create a new track and a thing called VCA. It's like a master thing. So what we can do is we can create one of those and then down here assign it and then have independent control on them from here without this group being turned on, right? If the group's on, we adjust these, and if the group's off, individual control. So it's two options, right? I don't usually use these. You set it up and then it is handy, but it's not necessary. Also, when you select this, it shows only these tracks. So if you have a massive session like this one, then you can figure it out. So once we have our tracks all grouped, we go in here and finish doing that. Now here we are, everything's in, everything's grouped, everything's named. So we don't start till bar 9. I hit tab button, you create a marker, it helps you keep track of where you are. Also, our tempo is synced to the song. If you have noticed, it is 114 BPM. Here's our song, we've got our guitars. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit play and see what we got. So yeah, there's a lot going on in here. Lots of different elements and sounds all at once, and they're all competing with each other for their like prime spot to be able to be heard. You know, human auditory perception. Some stuff gets buried in the mix. We'll take a look and see where all our gains are at, and we'll adjust this first function at the very top, the trim, to kind of make them all, you know, consistent at the same place. So we'll just... I know in time you'll fail me. Basically get that set up, and then the next thing we're going to do is adjust all our groups together, and we'll just get things kind of sitting where they're happy on these faders here. First thing that pops out to me is that organ is way too freaking loud. We'll touch that down. Set speed to information super high. And then that brings us to the guitars, which are too loud, so we would adjust those. Normally I do it while I'm playing back the track and talk to you while I do it, but I'm worried that you can't hear me while the track is playing, so we'll touch this down a little bit. There we go. How I long for your frigid breeze, colder than the Arctic. Starts to make the drums a little more clear, which is nice. So we can go in, get individual control over these tracks. So got this crunchy one, crunchy one with a little bit more tone, and then this is the one actually mic'd on the strings, which I really like the sound of this guitar. I want it to be prominent. And then this one, just a little bit of filler. And then this one's got some balls, so that's good. And then this track, I'm not sure what happened to it, but I guess I exported it as like a 5.1 surround. So yeah, not sure why that happened. It was an accident on my part, but maybe we can get something cool out of it. So. Another function we have up here is phase. So what phase does is it basically inverts the sound wave, and the way that they interact will change. So but you can hear if we put this soloed out on our own, we touch the phase, it doesn't do anything. It's in context of another track where it makes all the difference. So we're gonna go through and yeah, basically let's make a loop here so we can keep it playing.
Broke can promise of infinity.
So here's our vocal tracks. It's
I know in time you'll fail me. Let's take a ride. Hesitation. Signal fires are.
other thing I notice is this track here. This was bass mic'd on the strings, which is, I don't know, I've never heard of anybody doing it, but I kind of wanted that really slappy sound of like a bass, like when you're standing in the room with it. So that's cool. And then this one I made with, you know, adding some distortion, some color for small speakers. It'll sound really punchy. So a lot of times when I start a mix, I didn't today, I started with the guitars, but I'll start with the low end, you know, bass kick, organ, and all these bass tracks here. And I'll try and get them in order, or, you know, all sounding nice and balanced. We can start adding things in. Here is that the string sound of the guitar and string sound of the bass, they're going to be competing for attention, so get them in balance so that they sound nice. We'll bring these back in. It's working. Here's our drums. We've got snare top and bottom. And since the mics are pointed like this, they might be out of phase with each other, right? This track here might be out of phase with the rest of the kits. So we got to take a listen to that. See what we can do. So solo at the drum kit, and what I've been doing is starting with the these two, which are the H1, H2. Yes, all the overheads and stuff. So So here's a room mic. It was about 6 feet back from the kit. And, little sense of extra stuff here. So I'm going to flip around the phase here. See if I can get a little more presence in the cymbals. Here's a mic on the tom, mic on the other tom. Yeah, there's lots of bleed, but that's okay. I mean, it all, if you can get the frequencies to combine in an okay way, you don't need to add any plugins like a noise gate or whatever. I mean, you can, but yeah, so far, so good. We don't need this one for right now. We'll just keep that muted. We'll add that one in later and play with it. And yeah, the snare was deep, so don't want it to be too prominent in our mix here. And I'm just gonna leave the kick as is, because it is what it is, and that's okay.
I knew the emperor's ransom for the comforts of a king. Toil through dead season, feel the sweet chill in my bones. Let's take a ride. Let's take a ride.
All right, so
Let's take a ride. Let's take a ride on the other side.
and the only other thing that I would do while I was going through this is adjust the panners, which I had realized that I have already set. So what I did with the drums, basically just left right stereo panning, just to, and nothing too wide too. I didn't go hard left, hard right on any of these, but just enough to give a little sense of space in the drum kit. And I'll show you the difference here. If you're listening through headphones, then you can probably hear this. Okay, here we go.
Plastic parts and pernicious transistors.
So
Set speed to cruise along the information soup.
So listening back to the original mix compared to this one, it's yeah, quite a bit different, and we'll cue the before and after right now.
Let's take a ride.
Alright, you guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me, or ask them in the comments. We'll help each other out and try and get the best mixes we can. So yeah, cheers. Remember to show some love for the video, and hit that hit the like button, share it around. It helps the video get shown to more people, and that's that. Thank you very much. Bye. Oh shit, we're still recording.